Hello Office 365 users. In this video we will be looking at the responses and data collection available here in Office 365 Forms. As you can see, I've already created a quiz. I entitled it Delete Me, and I have 4 responses to my quiz. I went ahead and logged in as my own 2 children and a colleague's child as well as myself, and generated 4 responses so that I could get some data here to show you. So you can see here at the top the number of responses is 4, the average score is 1, though I'll show you how to review their answers so that will go up some, and the status of your quiz is active. You'll notice there are 3 dots here bottom right that will give you more options. If you want to use your quiz again and don't need the data anymore from the original, you can delete all the responses. Maybe you're going to use the quiz again in an additional semester or with a different class. You've already recorded the grades, they've already seen their feedback. But back out in the Forms dashboard, you could also just make an additional copy of your quiz if you want to use it again. You can print the summary. It does just print this page that we're looking at, and you can create a summary link. So if your PLC or your PLN wants to look at the results from this data, you can create that summary link and make that available to your colleagues. Alright, so those are available there in this menu. Of course, you can open all of these responses, all of this data in Excel, and then build any charts and graphs that you need, sort any data as needed, look specifically into a particular question or maybe a particular student in a way that you're unable to see here in the web-based version of the responses. Alright, so now we're going to go and look at what is available just here in the summary that's given. If I scroll down, you can look here at question number 1. It tells me that 50% of my respondents answered the question correctly. If I hover over the chart that's built, it gives me more information about what's being shown there. Of course, the key is over here at the right, and when you hover over the key, that data shows up there in the chart as well. So the correct answer in this question was white, and half of my respondents selected that. And you can see a quarter selected black and a quarter selected paint. No one selected tan, so that was not a distractor for me. When I did the video for question types, I went ahead and did 2 actually separate questions right here in one question for number 2 so that I could show you the different options within a text-based question. So that's why you're seeing 2 questions here. That'll make more sense if you go view that other video. But 100% of the respondents answered this question correctly. You'll notice though that even though we have 4 respondents, that only means that 2 people, it says here 2 out of 2 answered the question correctly. If you'll remember from the branching video that I made on the branching features, they only got to answer question 2, or were only directed to question 2 if they answered question 1 correctly. So that's another feature of branching that comes into play when you're looking at your data. So again, with the hovering, you get the options for what people put. No one put anything besides the 4 or the 9, so I have nothing as an other response. Alright, if we scroll down further, this was a Likert scale question, so we can see here that orange jello is very unpopular with the crowd that answered this and that answered my quiz questions. Again, the hovering is available. If you hover over a bar, it tells you what that bar represents. Alright, so that's just the summary, but I want you to notice that on each question you have a link for more details. So let's scroll back up here to the top, so where I have the most answers. If I click on more details, I can see who answered my quiz and what they marked, and whether or not, of course, that was right or wrong. So I get this little detailed look at just an individual question by clicking on more details there for any given question. So for question 2, only 2 people answered that question. These were the responses they gave, both of which I was accepting as a correct answer. Okay, so couple of more options that are available up here at the top. Let's go to review answers. This is where the actual grading would take place. So if I'm looking at Mallory's quiz, Mallory was my first responder, and it took her 17 seconds, and she got 0 out of 2 points. She marked that George Washington's white horse was paint, and so it auto-graded her at getting 0 points for that, which we'll go ahead and leave alone. I could give her some feedback, though, here. In order for her to see that feedback, she would just take my original share link, access it again, and when she's logged in, she'd be able to see what I write here to her. So I'm going to point out that she needs to read carefully. All right. So that'll be part of the feedback that she gets. So then here on this next one, it did not auto-grade this question because there's no right or wrong answer for a Likert scale. So since Mallory answered these questions, I'm going to go ahead and give her the full point. When you delete 0 points, notice again it comes up with needs review. But if I put in 1 point, then her point total will change up there at the top. Okay, so Mallory now has 1 out of 2 points, and I can move on to the next student. So now I'm at Nathan's, and I can do the same sort of process. I can, of course, move on again, like we mentioned earlier. I can use the arrow key, move on to Eileen's. So that's how we look at the data on people, but let's look at the data for questions. So when I switch over to this, just like I could in more details, but here without the students' names being visible, I can see where we're at with an individual question. If I want to see the students' names, I can go ahead and click on the numbered responses there and see again, just like I did for more details. Okay, so that's the question view. You'll notice again here that you have the option to print response. So if you want to bring some data to a PLC, this would be a great way to do that. So you can discuss student growth or possibly interventions. And of course you can toggle through your questions to look at how they went. All right, so last but not least, we need to go back over here to the response dashboard and look at post scores. So this gives me the option of letting the students go back and look at what happened. So if I'm so inclined here, since I graded or looked at the data for each of them are listed as graded, but I can preview here what they're going to see, make sure it's what I actually wanted them to see. Notice there's that comment that I left for Mallory. And when I'm ready, I can select them all or just select individual ones, and then in the top right, click Post Scores. And now when they log back in to their Office 365 account, and again use that share link, the same link that they used to take the quiz originally, they can use to go back and look at their data. All right, so that's the data available here in responses, in quizzes. If you need additional help with this or anything else in Office 365, please don't hesitate to reach out to me either via my YouTube channel or my email. I hope you have a great day.